Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Audrey, and my husband and I live on a 6-acre homestead in the Midlands of South Carolina with our 8 children. I was going to just give a homestead tour today. It is the beginning of May and things are starting to really come to life. We finally got our garden planted and finished up over the weekend. Our main fenced garden that you see there is about 2,000 square feet, and we also make use of other areas on our property, which I will show you in this video. Our main garden has been established for going on 6 years now, and we utilize the Back to Eden garden method. The only place that we do a shallow till is where we plant carrots and potatoes. This is the first year that we will have a pretty decent blueberry harvest. Look at all of these blueberries. All of that down there will grow into berries as well. And this is just one of our bushes. It's very exciting. We planted these, I believe, 3 years ago. And this will be the first year that we really have a good harvest. Just last week, I decided to plant, okay, those right there are weeds. They need to come up. I decided to plant all of my remaining sunflowers against the fence here behind the blueberries. Have a little bit more weeds over there as well, along with my cucumber plants that are actually in the garden, but I planted them to trellis up the fence. I love utilizing the fence as a trellis. My husband's trying to get Penny back in her paddock after her milking. She wants to stay. All right, you have to be super gentle when feeding these through. But I want to train it to go up. See how it's already putting out all these little feelers? Sometimes I actually go ahead and wrap these around myself, depending on how big they are. This one's pretty stiff. It's a big one. I don't know if it'll stay. Sometimes if you just hold it for a minute, it will relax and wrap around what you're trying to get it to climb up. There you go. It stayed. Over here on the other side of our hideous, gigantic propane tank, when they put that in, when we built our house, our garden was already established. We started our garden 2 years before we even started building our house. And I was so disappointed when this was the spot they said would be the best fit. But it is a little bit hidden by this massive knockout rose bush. And then over here, my parents gave me this beautiful rain gauge for Christmas. It's got a little solar panel on it with a light underneath the tube. You can see we have not gotten any significant rain recently. And then this right here is a raspberry plant that my neighbor gave me last year. It was a little cutting about that size, not even a cutting, but they send out more roots underground. And look at the size of this stalk. I mean, it is huge. And it's got lots of little raspberries on it this year. Very exciting, and it was completely free. Not only that, she gave us 7 more just a few weeks ago when she started tending her garden. And so we've put them in the ground over here. Unfortunately, they are amidst some weeds right now. But there are 7, and they're doing pretty well. And then over here, for the last couple of years, I have done a whole 15 or 20 foot row of sunflowers. I typically put my tallest ones over there, and then they get smaller all the way down to like the 18-inch teddy bear sunflowers. All right, keeping it real, this is what we've been doing with all of our cardboard. So this shiny, colorful one right there is going to go to the dump, to recycling, but all the other plain cardboard we utilize underneath the mulch to keep weeds at bay. And we just finished over the weekend, and so we need to clean up what is left and stick it in the greenhouse. All right, on the left, when you first come in, we've got lots of cattle panels that we utilize throughout the garden. These are my 4 rows of tomatoes. I would say maybe half are San Marzano, and the other half are big slicers, and maybe just a couple of cherry style tomatoes thrown in there. All of this paper needs to come up. But we have lots of flowers. I always give it a little bit of a shake when the flowers have blossomed, in case there aren't enough pollinators out here doing their jobs just yet. I started all of these from seed about, well, at this point, probably 8 weeks ago. I need to look back through my pictures. Down here, we've got some nasturtium. There are 3, and one of them is looking awfully sad. My husband set up our drip irrigation over the weekend, so hopefully things will start to pick up. Look at this. This is ground cherry. And look at this. Over here, on the other side of the fence by the propane tank, those are hundreds of ground cherries. So let it be known, when you plant ground cherries, you will have them forever. Throughout the garden, I have volunteer zinnias. The cows are all starting to talk to each other now. And the big ones that really take off strong, I let stay. The many, many small ones I usually cover with cardboard and then mulch. And these are my 4 rhubarb plants. I've never planted rhubarb before. I just bought these as two packs from Tractor Supply, stuck them in the ground, and within days they had popped up and have really taken off. So this is looking toward the milking stall. There's Penny. So here are the tomatoes. Right here at my feet, I have 3 basil plants. I put 3 more right there. Oh, it looks like 4, but one of those is a ground cherry. I need to pull that up. I didn't do much basil last year, and I also didn't make any pesto last year, so I look forward to making more pesto this year. This is one of my favorite features in the garden. Unfortunately, our air conditioner just kicked on. I hope this is not too loud. These are pole beans. I've got them on the inside and outside of the entire trellis, and you can see the dried bean stalks from last year. They almost went up and over the arch, and this year I sure hope they do. I know they continue to produce the more that you pick them, so I plan on harvesting a whole lot more. This is literally about 2.5 times what we planted last year, so I'm really excited about our bean harvest. Over here along the fence where I was telling you we have cucumbers, 3 of the plants that I thought were cucumbers when they were little seedlings have actually turned out to be okra. So I'm going to move this guy and these 2 over here, which is a relief because I only had about 8 or 9 okra come up. My youngest daughter direct sowed them for me, and they did not do very well. So I'm going to move these 3 plants over to the okra row. Over here we've got a little bit more nasturtium and some volunteer marigolds. This is where I had marigolds last year, so I'm going to let these 2 go, and hopefully they will take off and do well. My marigolds that I planted last year were enormous. They were the biggest I've ever seen. My largest plant was probably close to 4 feet tall. And then I picked up this little tower garden at Lowe's. This 4-tier vertical garden was $40. So we're going to see how my strawberries do in this Lowe's vertical garden. And I do plan on buying another 4-pack and adding more strawberries. My husband used my neighbor's tractor to dump big loads of mulch over there. So we are not going to end up planting where that mulch is super heavy and still rather thick. We also have like a 4-year-old, or maybe it's 5 or 6-year-old bale of hay. You can see what's left of it right there, that we have used to cover our potatoes, which I'll show you in just a second. And for the most part, this has been a back to Eden garden. We have never tilled until last year. My husband tilled up one long 60-foot row for me to do potatoes, and it was the best potato year we have ever had. And so from here on out, he is going to till just the areas where I will be doing my deep root crops like potatoes and carrots. That's pretty much it. So this is where I'm going to direct sow some carrots probably tomorrow. And what I will do is soak this tilled area really well with the garden hose, and then I will scatter seed and cover them with lumber for several days until they start to germinate. And then I will take the lumber off and I will thin them out just a little bit and let them go. And we did that a couple years ago with the carrots, just a long thin row, and we tilled just one skinny row, and it was the best carrot year we've ever had. So I'm looking forward to doing carrots again. We do still have some little areas that need more cardboard and more mulch. I am determined to stay on top and win the battle against the weeds this year. Now, this is our okra row. It does not look like anything right now. In fact, this whole part over here is completely just weeds. None of those seeds came up right there. And here's more trash and garden paraphernalia that needs to go back in the greenhouse. And here is my double row of peppers. So we've got them on this side and we've got them on this side right here. Some of them are labeled, some of them will be a surprise. I've got quite a lot of bell peppers and a good variety of hot peppers as well. I know we've got some Sugar Rush Peach and Cayenne, Tabasco, I think. So we will see. And now I want to show you the potatoes, which we just finished on Saturday. It was an entire family event. So last year I had a double 60-foot row of red potatoes and white potatoes and about a 30-foot row of sweet potatoes. Now I think it's probably hard for you to see exactly what this size is, but these are about 25-foot rows, and I've got 4 rows of sweet potatoes, so 2 here and 2 over there. Sweet potatoes do not like to have sweet potatoes on both sides, so you wouldn't want to do 3 rows of sweet potatoes right next to each other. So I did 2 on the outer edge and 2 on the other outer edge. And then in between there, I have 4 rows of red and white potatoes. So all in all, about 100 feet of sweet potatoes and 100 feet of red and white potatoes. And I am super excited to see these take off. Potatoes are so fun because they take such little effort for a lot of gain. And then right over here, we have our tiny, sad little okra row. I really don't even know if they're going to do very well. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll see. And then I'll move the other 3 from the cucumber row. I just love how much everything transforms every week and with every rain in the spring. One thing I wanted to do this year and really get better at and in a better habit of doing is planting wherever there is space. So this is a side bed on the side of the house that we park. And I've got chamomile over here on the right and calendula. That's some butterfly ginger. Now, in the last couple of years, the squash bugs have eventually gotten absolutely out of control in the main vegetable garden. So I decided this year that I was just going to put them in the ground wherever they would fit. Now, I'm pretty confident this side of the house gets at least 6 hours of sun. The sun rises. This is the east side of the house. You can see all of this stuff does very well. This is also my perennial herb garden. Because we are in the south, a lot of annual herbs like parsley and cilantro and dill end up being perennials for us because they drop seed and it doesn't get cold enough to kill them back. And so the seed that they drop now, you can see that there's flowers on the cilantro and flowers on the parsley. They will just continue to spread. But I put 8 or 9 squash and zucchini all throughout this side bed. There are my cheap $5 yellow roses that I got from Aldi last year. There's some oregano and a big patch of thyme back there. I lined the outer edge of this entire bed with lamb's ear that I broke off of the original 8 lamb's ear in the front of the house. Lamb's ear is so prolific and drought resistant and heat resistant. It's really amazing. There's more squash. These are my gladiolus that I planted probably 4 years ago, maybe 5. The peach ones are always the first to bloom, and I end up having yellow, white, and like a dark burgundy. It's beautiful. And I have dianthus and purple phlox. This is my echinacea or coneflower, and it started off like half the size of this right here, which has come out from under that plant right there. I'm actually going to dig that up and give it to a neighbor. But a friend in a garden club that I was a part of brought me a little rooting half that size. I think it was in 2020, so 3 years ago. And she brought it in a little Chick-fil-A cup to one of our little luncheons. And now it produces so many coneflowers, it weighs the entire plant down. I think I'm going to put some bamboo supports in the ground when this starts to get huge with blossoms, because they're just beautiful and I don't want to move them. I love that they are kind of a centerpiece to this bed. That is more purple phlox right there. That is spreading, which is lovely because they are beautiful when they bloom. I will say last week we had about 4 days in a row of crazy wind. I don't know if any of you follow Ruth Ann Zimmerman or Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead. Well, they live in areas that have crazy wind on a regular basis. We do not. We had wind gusts of up to 40 and 50 miles an hour all day, every day for about 4 days. And I thought for sure it was going to wipe out all of these squash and zucchini. I think that is why all of them have 1 or 2 sad yellowy leaves that are kind of dying back, but then the others are nice and strong. I told my husband, I said, this wind is either going to completely kill these plants or they will be the strongest plants I've ever had. So hopefully it's going to be the latter. There is a sage seedling that I started in the greenhouse. I wonder if sage is a biennial. If you know, leave it in the comments below. I planted some sage, or I started it from seed a couple years ago, and it got really big and bushy. Like it was just about the size of that patch of phlox right there. And I totally regret not picking and drying any and saving it. And then this past winter, it finally died. And I mean like dead. So I started some more from seed, but that one lasted 2 years. So it'll be interesting to see if this one lasts 2 years before I have to start more. But I learned my lesson, and I will definitely be saving some of these. I will clip it and dry it and save it. And now we are at the front porch. It's a little bit of a mess right now. I need to pressure wash the ceiling and sweep some of the stuff that my son has been throwing on the steps. But I love our porch so much. It is one of my very favorite features of the entire house. It is 40 feet long and 10 feet deep. And up here we have our lemon tree, our avocado tree, and lots of salad greens. This is our kale that looks awfully sad right now, but it's actually doing quite well. I just need to water it. Here is our spinach that is doing very well. This is lettuce from last winter that I am allowing to go to seed or flower. And after it flowers, we will open up the pods and save the seeds. And that is how I planted this one. This past winter was from saved seeds. anything that is going to survive all winter long, all the way into the beginning of summer and go to flower, I want to save those seeds because that is a strong and healthy plant. And then right next door we have, I think this is the Rocky Mountain lettuce mix. I love this mix. It's very prolific. You can see we just cut the outer leaves and keep it going, and it just keeps producing more from the center. It's fantastic. I do get some of these little black bugs, but they're almost like little gnats, and I can spray them off. Look how shiny and beautiful the leaves are. I can spray them off with the garden hose, and then of course I wash them when we clip them and bring them in for salad. This is our first full year with our cold hardy avocado tree. Let me pull that yellow leaf. But look here. We've got one lone avocado. We had about 6 or 7, and I think the birds have knocked some of them off. So I need to be mindful of that next year and maybe protect them a little bit. And then we just up potted this Meyer lemon tree. It was in this little pot for the last year, and I moved it up to a really big pot, and I need to fill it with a bit more compost. I don't see any fruit on that this year, but it may be a little early yet. I'm not sure. All I know is we have lost lemon trees in the past because I was unable to bring them in, and now I can pull this in during the winter when it gets below freezing. So hopefully next year we will finally get some lemons. Now we'll take a quick walk out to the orchard. The orchard isn't much to look at just yet. We planted 4 apple trees and a peach tree in 2020 when stores had all of their fruit trees heavily marked down. We got each of those trees for $12 a piece, and they were already a good 4 feet tall or so because people were concerned about toilet paper and food, not little baby apple trees. But we had other plans, so we picked up the fruit trees. And then this past year we added the cold hardy avocado tree, 2 fig trees, and 2 pear trees. We actually ordered 2 cherry trees as well, but they ended up sold out before they shipped ours, so we didn't actually receive them. Here's one of the pear trees. The other one is over there by Pepper. And then this fig tree is actually dead, so they're going to send us another one. And then we've got that one over there. Actually, just beyond that one, the one that you can really see over here, is a dogwood, and we've got that the same time as the apples and peach tree back in 2020. But obviously, the dogwood is not edible. See all of these piles of mulch back there on the other side of our fence? Those are from the company that was doing tree trimming for the electric company, and my husband happened to stop and say, "Hey, do you need somewhere to dump that?" And the job foreman got his cell phone number, and they actually came day after day for 2 or 3 weeks and brought all these mounds of wood chips and mulch. It is incredible, and we share with all of our neighbors. We all borrow our neighbor's tractor and load it up and dump it wherever we need it, but it has been so incredibly helpful. That is our peach tree over where Pepper is right now. And it does not have not a single peach this year. We had a hard frost right after it had really blossomed, and it was beautiful, and it killed all of the blossoms and all of our chances of peaches for this year. Our apple trees, on the other hand, look beautiful. Look at all these apples. So exciting. We did not prune our apples this year, and we're really regretting that. My husband's been watching some videos on the best ways to prune apple trees and how to keep them healthy and establish a main stem or a main branch, I guess you could say. So we will be sure to do that, especially look at this one. This one is a mess. And as of right now, it doesn't even have a main branch. So after this year, we will establish this one right here as the dominant main branch. But look at all these apples. This is our Arkansas black. And our other two are Granny Smith. I love, love, love adding fruit to the homestead because it's so sustainable and it just continues giving year after year, and you hardly have to do anything. I did buy some fertilizer spikes this year, so we need to get those in the ground very soon to feed these trees. But they're doing really well. I'd say they're about 7 feet tall now, maybe a little bit taller. This is the Granny Smith. That's it. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do another tour next month to kind of update how everything's doing. And I am running out of daylight. Thanks for watching.